Yeah, and I liked how he talked about how, like, oh yeah, you can learn how to do telepathy. Like, he also kind of made it sound like anyone can do it. It's kind of hard. There's a lot of practice, but anyone can do it. I'm like, yeah, I bet it would be hard if you could learn how.
Welcome to Paranoia. We have many thoughts, and we're going to share them with you. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Michael.
Welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about this book we've been reading, kind of in the same vein of our last episode, kind of sticking to that. Not paranormal, but you got extraterrestrials in this one.
Yeah.
And they did talk about it in that show, Hellier. It's called Visitors From Lanulos by Woody Derenberger.
Derenberger.
Pretty wacky book. I think you would agree.
Wacky. Whoa. Take it easy there. Just kidding.
So yeah, it was like published in like 1971, we think. That's what we
pretty sure
the page at the beginning says.
If we're to believe what the page says.
It's about this guy, Woody. He had this encounter with I think a now famous entity.
Oh yeah.
Indrid Cold. It was like 1966 or 1967. He's driving through Idaho. I think he's from Kentucky, maybe. Idaho for sure is where the thing happens. Driving down the highway, he sees a craft. And it's like hovering next to his car, above his car.
It's like behind him and another car. And then I think that car and the craft like pass him.
Yeah.
So it's almost
it was cool.
Yeah, it's weird that like, oh, it seemed like it wasn't even just following him from the jump. It was like some other person, and then
wasn't riding his ass too close. Didn't have his high beams on. Was pretty good. Used his blinker. Pulled out. In front,
really polite.
Real quick. Gave him enough time to stop. He stopped in front of him. Out comes Indrid Cold. He's got a smooth jacket on, silky, oily, shiny jacket. And he's got this big smile on his face.
Yeah, it does talk about that smile, yeah.
Yeah, and he starts talking with Woody, and he notices like he's kind of communicating without he moving his mouth, so he's telepathy is involved here. Doesn't do much. He just says, "Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, what's going on?
It'd be really cool to be friends.
Yeah.
Let me know. I got your number, your brain number.
Is this I got your brain number. He talks about that later too. How to brain dial. But he no, it's not a butt dial, it's very on purpose. Like I brain dialed you.
Yeah.
That reminded me of something too I'll bring up later when we get to that point. But I was gonna say, isn't this the one too with Indrid Cold where I might be getting these mixed up, where he's like, oh, I'm from a place I'm from a country that's much weaker than yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was odd.
It's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
You come down in a ship.
A ship of like a ship in control of physics.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like what do you mean?
Insanely advanced. And yeah, we're weak. We're weak as fuck, dude.
I mean,
I don't think he really elaborated on that, but it was in this book. Anyways, he had a short little introduction, and then I think from there he kind of just tells his story of the different encounters and things that he had with this guy and then others of his alien race.
Yeah, he goes on all sort of escapades with the
Lanulesians, I think.
I don't remember.
Pretty fun. I mean, the book is just goofy. Like he'll just tell a little story about this thing. Oh, okay, they came to visit me at my country house, and and then like we went up in their ship a few times, and also like we could just brain dial him whenever you want, just talk with him no matter where he is.
Literally, yeah, whenever. And like they're also just like so like two things I want to say off the jump. So because I'm assuming most people haven't probably read this book. I mean, go for it. You can do it.
It's short. It's
pretty short. It's like 111 pages exactly. But so number one is like all these aliens, like the Lanulesians or whatever he said. I should have wrote that down. They look human. They just look human. Like they don't like look different. And then two, so he has all these like visitations and stuff. And if you're anything like us, and when you grew up, and even now, I think still mainly the prevailing type of like extraterrestrial you think of as like a gray alien, like a short and stout, here's my handle, here's my spout. You made me say it. But
there's a gun under this desk.
And there's like certain like types of visitations you would kind of have in your mind, and maybe more of them are kind of scary. This is like just some guys in a ship.
Just laid back.
Like you brain dial them. They come hang out because they're just whipping shitties in the sky or whatever. Yeah. They're just hanging out, and they come down, and you go outside and talk to them.
Yeah.
Like you just
also chill. Like a lot of times it was just like broad daylight.
Yeah.
Like he would, and he got okay. So he started having these interviews. He got pretty famous.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if I'm famous, but small town. He's getting attention at least.
I think he got quite a bit.
Doing like radio shows and article interviews and things like that. So it's just goofy. Like I have all these different thoughts about this guy and like this book, but we can kind of get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I guess what are your favorite encounters, if you remember any that you had?
Favorite encounters. Maybe not like the thing I was thinking of off the top of my head isn't an encounter, but kind of like one of the modes of operation. I don't know what you'd call it. The way that they do things. So like very often he describes that they're going to meet up, but like, I got to put my truck somewhere because I'm. He's like a salesperson, and so he's driving around all over like Ohio and Idaho and or wherever.
Yeah.
Like, and like I remember the one I think it was later in the book. One of the other entities, Carl Ardo, he was talking to him, and then they were going to go somewhere, and maybe Lanulus, but he's like, oh, I got to park my car somewhere. And he's like, okay, well, take your car over here. I'll tell you where to go. It's behind this, like, it's not a quarry, but it's like something like that, like this construction site or something. And then you can leave it there while like we go hang out.
Like middle of the day. Like if you see a ship landing by this area, you're not hiding that truck. Also, why do you need to hide your truck?
And like they will like drive his truck for him. Like the other one of their wives, the
Kimmy.
Yeah, Kimmy. Was it Kimmy?
Indrid's wife.
Yeah. Would like drive his truck for him or like take it back to like where he could like use it. And I'm like,
she dropped it off at like the post office or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like details like that are just odd.
Right.
It's like they're odd in general, but like odd in general. It's not that odd to have like someone, I guess, move your car around if you need them to, but like that you're going on a ship with them but they can't, I don't know, like take it or like move it. They got to drive it. Like you drive it.
That's just interesting. They can operate a stick shift.
Well, I mean, they're human, they took driver's ed probably.
Oh yeah, that's true.
On their planet.
Which is exactly the same. Basically as Earth.
Pretty close. Well, there's some big differences.
Is there? I remember reading like, oh, this is the same.
Well, they don't wear clothes unless it's really cold.
Oh, okay.
That's
but
one
there's
big
people
one.
that do that.
Yeah, but not like everybody. Because he talks about, yeah. Oh, I could go on forever. Oh, yeah. Why are we even here?
Yeah, he goes to Lanulos a bunch of times. I think there's a bunch of inconsistencies, but like he goes there. Well, first of all, he goes to the ship.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, I want to go to Lanulos. And like, well, you can't really go there yet because you're not vaccinated.
Yeah.
Which is funny because like they're interacting with him the whole time. Like it's fine.
But maybe
Maybe they're
okay.
vaccinated.
Yeah.
They could be vaccinated. But so then like, okay, they drop him back off at home and then they go again later and they surprise him. Surprise trip. Probably just a few hours, honestly. It's like, hey, let's go. And so they go. He lands. He goes into the house, meets his wife, Kimmy. Maybe he knew her before, but he meets his kids that are there.
Connor and Conard.
He doesn't say anything about them being naked.
Not yet, yeah.
Not yet. Okay. So then he goes in, he's like getting a tour around basically a regular home.
Yeah.
Stuff that he's used to, except the one thing he wasn't used to was like there was a laundry room with a bunch of hooks and like hoses that like sprays all the clothes with like different detergents and cleans them off or whatever. And he makes this comment where the wife, Kimmy's like reassuring him like, no, they will be clean.
Oh, they're clean. No.
They're clean. I know it. Yeah, I know it doesn't look clean, but it's going to be
We're
clean.
just spraying stuff on them and letting them air dry, but they're clean. Don't worry.
And then he goes outside. Everyone's naked because it's warm out. Mm-hmm. He's told, hey, it's warm out. This is what people do. Cool. So like, why wasn't everybody inside naked? And also, why are they washing clothes?
He does say that they will wear clothes if it's like cold out, but not very often. And I'm assuming they're wearing like Indrid and the group is wearing clothes because they're going
maybe
to
just
Earth.
to get him comfy.
That's kind of my guess, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, how would I know? Also, he calls his one son handsome like a bunch, and that was funny.
Does he?
Or like not handsome, but he's like, oh, it's a really good looking,
beautiful son
kid. Yeah, like I don't know, like it's not weird. I don't think it's just interesting that like it stuck out to him enough to like say it.
Period. You know, like it's normal to compliment that way.
Yeah,
I don't remember that. So maybe it was normal in my head. So then he goes outside, meets all the naked people, and they're all scared of him because they hadn't seen an Earthman or whatever.
Yep.
Or not enough of them. Starts striking up conversations. I don't remember if there's a different language.
There is. They usually talk with telepathy, but there is another language. But he said usually they would like, or at least Indrid would like use telepathy because then he would understand him. But if he spoke the other language, like, he didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah. And I remember like one of the first things he was trying to tell this girl, maybe just a lady.
Yeah.
She's like asking about Earth and what it's like and stuff. And he is describing what it's like. And he talks about like war and religion. And she's like, I don't understand what you mean. 'Cause they don't know a word for hatred.
Yep.
They're very peaceful. Like he's this whole book is themed about their peacefulness.
Yeah.
Basically. How perfect they are compared to us. And I'll share my thoughts on that. But, and then he finds out pretty shortly after that no, they worship Christ.
Did he say Christ or just God?
He did.
Did he say Christ?
Said Jesus Christ.
Okay. I thought it was just God. And like, it was, okay. Well, why not?
Why not? We don't know about Earth, but we know about its savior. Like,
we just think it's just Earth. That's the problem.
Maybe there was many Jesus.
Yeah, they're called prophets. They're
Well, yeah, I know that.
Sorry.
So that was funny. And then like they take him to the next town, basically.
Yeah,
And
they're
then
called like
they meet
sectors or something, or
something like that.
yeah.
No, it's not a pod.
No, it's like, yeah, but they're like numbered. It's not like a name. It's like a something number.
Not like a zone. Something like that.
Yeah.
Sector 9. And then they go and they meet like a elderly Hispanic couple from Earth.
From Earth. That's right.
Just down the way.
Yep.
Yet nobody had seen an Earthman before, just before that.
Okay, I actually didn't think about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
They were in a different sector. I don't know. What do you want?
Yeah.
They don't get out of town that much.
Couldn't have walked that far. Nobody but everybody had cars.
They weren't cars. They were like those pod things, and they like were in ditches.
Hovercraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was describing like how everybody had their own kind of unique car. There was like single drive ones, double passenger ones,
Like
the whole
bus
family
type,
sedan ones. It's just goofy. And I'll just keep saying that. It's goofy.
You think it's so goofy.
Gorge. Yeah, and all their sports were the same. They're playing like tennis.
That was funny.
Yeah.
That was a little funny. Like, because, I mean, sure, if you want to make the argument that, like, okay, because there's that one question, too, that always comes up with, like, extraterrestrial encounters and whatever. They're like, why are they all, bipeds? Why are they all, like, kind of look humanish? Why would they? Why would alien life? And there's like arguments. It's like, well, maybe it just kind of happens that way, or it's really common, or like there's a bunch of reasons, and that's fine. And I guess maybe you could follow that chain of reasoning up to the point. It's like, well, yeah, so they're gonna think of having a racket, and like, well, yeah, so if you had a racket, you have to string it a certain, so you to get a ball, and yeah, like it just makes sense. You do it. It's like maybe I don't know.
Maybe.
I can't say no because
but yeah, it's goofy. I'll say it again.
he goofed up. He goofed on this one. This guy's goofy on Lanulos.
So then he goes back. Then what? He starts getting the word out. Yeah, he's like, "Hey, we got these beings out here. They be visiting." Mm-hmm. And they're peaceful. They just wanna show us their ways.
Yeah, they're like the best version that we could ever hope to be, like of people, like how they are.
They don't know how to hate. There's no war. They're technologically advanced. They eat really well. He comments on their diet. Yeah, like they just eat meat and vegetables. Very little grain. It's just like all the best versions of like what humanity should be doing. These guys are doing, and
they live like not. Was it like 190? They like I don't think it broke 200.
Yeah, they look very old. Yeah,
like a lot older than us, but in the grand scheme, like yeah, okay, whatever. Not that old.
And they have a unified religion amongst all the people. It just makes me think like he has this vision of like all these things that, I mean, a lot of us think about this. Like, of like, okay, what would it look like if we were good? Yep. Or like good all the way. And, how would our society be? And he's using this story to kind of get that message out. But what it's confused me is he's very in on the whole conspiracy of the government hiding this. He's very, I don't know if anti-establishment, but he's very weary of government entities. Yeah. And their doings and secrets, conspiracy. So I don't really know, like, if that is his goal, because I assume that's kind of what his goal is. Like, why he would be using that. Like, I can understand why you'd use that as an excuse to write this kind of stuff if you didn't have an encounter. But, like, to go in on that part too, is kind of odd to me.
I know what you mean. Well, I'll say two things. Well, I'll say more than that. Sorry. Yeah. The first one thing I thought about was kind of that, because of that theme of like love, going through everything, and like a different love than like I think most of us think of, is what I was getting from him. I'll say this now since it's where so when I was like reading that part of it, it struck me the same as I've been watching a many-part lecture series on Cornelius Agrippa, and who's this guy in like 1510. I think 1510 was he wrote a bunch of stuff, but he's famous for the 3 books of occult philosophy. The Juvenile Draft came out in like 1510, and then like he revised it like 20 years later in like 1533 or something. It was published. Anyway, he wrote stuff in between that time period, and he was talking about one of the other books that he wrote, which is like all talking about like love, basically, because he's a Christian. Mm-hmm. He's like a Catholic. Yeah, Catholic. Kind of Protestant-y because that's when that was happening. But so I was thinking about that as I was reading this, and as I check my notes here. He says so in the book, Woody talks about how everyone from Lanulos has like a type or intensity of love that like we don't have, it's like different. Mm-hmm. And so I had been listening to that lecture part, and in this one book, I can't remember the name of it because it's, in a language I don't speak, so I can't remember the name of it. But Agrippa was also talking about love quite a bit. And then the host of Esoterica, the channel it was on, Justin Sledge, was talking about how to him it reminded him of the Stoic idea of okiosis. So I had to look that up. He talked about it in the episode, but I looked it up. And just a really rough is like, paraphrasing is like, it's like in the Stoic idea, again, paraphrasing, don't kill me. It's like the idea of like love is like taking it and extending what you can feel for yourself and extending it like working to like extend it outward. So like now like I think they call it like familiarity. So like you're the most familiar with yourself generally. And so you have an easier time understanding yourself. And so what you try to do is like broaden your familiarity. So you'd broaden it to like maybe a partner or to your family. And then from your family, you could broaden your familiarity, like in your like feeling with like then your community or people in your community, and they would like spill out. And then that way you'd better understand each other because you're like enfolding them into like your scope of like familiarity. And that like, it was just interesting because I was like, oh, that really sounds like what Woody would be talking about. Like what they would have is like, yeah, you just like, what do you mean? Why would we don't hate anybody because like they're so familiar to us. It's like ourselves. Like, yeah, why would we?
The universal love between all people.
Yeah, it was just interesting. And I'd never, obviously that's like a topic
existing.
Yeah. Like it's like a broad topic that I've heard talked about a lot, everywhere. But I didn't know it was like a Stoic had a specific idea of it that they talked about. I don't know much about Stoicism, but it was just interesting. So that made me think of that. And the second point, I forgot.
There was 2. Come on.
There was 2 parts. It was about the love. Oh, so that had me. I got it. It had me thinking about when this was written too, because this was or published in 1971. This happened to him in like the first one was 1966, and then up to I don't remember how long. I mean, it probably kept going too after his
Woody?
Wrote the book. Yeah, his like
his whole life, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, but I'm like, okay, the 1960s was like, well, I don't know the exact dates, but flower power, love, peace, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it made me think of like, I wonder if that was also just on his mind because it's in like the milieu, like that's what's going on. Yeah. Like, and the same with like the government stuff, like seeing the crackdowns and everything and like all the shit that always happens. But like, that made me think,
and like also like post, what's that famous UFO one? Area 51,
Oh, that was in
that whole thing.
Roswell, you mean?
Yeah.
That was in like 47.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that happened when he was like younger.
True.
So it got him interested in it.
Yeah.
Also, like, I mean, I was doing a little Googling. There was a ton of different sci-fi movies around that time in the 60s that had, it was like basically trip to name a planet. Just a bunch of those, bunch of like flying saucer ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the book, he had, I don't know, say tons, but he had like maybe like half a dozen pictures that I don't know if he drew them, but like depictions of what he saw of the craft and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And very simplistic, sort of here's big knobs and levers and some big readout screens.
The one he had was like, because the shape of the ships were kind of like those classic like bell-ish looking shapes, like where it's not like the UFOs discs we think of like from the 90s onward, where it's like really sleek and whatever. Yeah, these have almost like lights and stuff around them and like landing gear, which I think people still do see those ones. But yeah, it was more, it's just interesting that it was like more kind of that time. Mm-hmm. Like it did definitely look like, yeah. And then some of the stuff, I just looking at the book quick, like all the lights he like drew out, or whoever drew these, was like, some just say stuff like all go, danger, like a whole panel that just says that, it'll light up. I mean, yeah, if it works.
In English, you think? Yeah. Or is he just interpreting?
I would hope he's interpreting.
I'm gonna go with English.
He's got levers too. A lot of levers here.
Yeah.
That's
feels like he wouldn't need that many levers. But
yeah, you would think. Oh yeah, he does have the intergalactic alphabet. And I don't think he ever talks about that.
No, not once. Maybe that was in the 30 pages he took out of this version.
Well, I didn't take any pages out.
No, isn't there like 82? I thought it was like 80 pages. Oh, am I wrong? How many pages you got there?
There's 111 pages in the original book, and the one I have is 113.
Oh.
I didn't take anything out.
Oh, I thought you took some out.
No.
I've been fact-checked.
You've been checked. Yeah, I don't remember him talking about that alphabet. I forgot it existed until I just was scrolling through here. Some of those symbols are pretty fun. I like the Z.
I love when he talked about going to Saturn and Venus.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I wrote some notes on that because I remember he was using things that are factually could not happen. Describes Venus as having rivers, forests, and farms. And then the surface of Saturn, the surface of Saturn, which is a gas giant. The whole world is agricultural.
It's a big
machinery
bowl.
Present. Whole planet shaped like a bowl. People living inside like a valley. Rim of the bowl covered in ice. The sun reflects off the ice, creating the rings that we see.
That's what I had. Yeah, because I was like, wait, what? Like, I was going as far as like, yeah, it's a bowl. That's fine. And then he said like the rings are just rainbows. I'm like, I don't know about that one. I was with you to bowl, man. I was there like, yeah, the gas is just covering it. Sure. It's just like those other sci-fi things that like the big rings, you know, and that have people. I was like, yeah, it's probably like that. That's fine. Whatever.
I watched a video after reading that. It was one of those animated, like quick explainer videos. Mm-hmm. I forget what those are called. There's like a channel that does that on YouTube. Like a real famous one? Yeah. Kyrgyzstan or whatever. No, it's like, we're going to teach you this fast, but it got a... I can't remember what it's called. I'll think of it later and I won't share it with you. Yeah. Loser. But it was like, okay, what would it be like to land a ship on Saturn? Yeah. It just goes into because it's all gas. It's all gas and then compressed gas into like, I think like liquids. There's got to be a nugget in there, right? Come on. Yeah, they think maybe at the center there could be like our core that we have is just molten. Yeah. nickel and iron or whatever. Like that's the only solid part. Like you're getting crushed to death as soon as you'd never make it there, but
That's
like
what the
if you
government
get
wants you to
past
think.
the initial like gas layers, you're crushed. And like the that's what they want us to think.
I mean, what better way to have people be like, oh yeah, why do we need to send a probe to Saturn to learn more about its awesome bowl, salad bowl, a Saturn bowl? We could just tell people that it's a big no-no zone. You sheep.
Yeah, I mean, I would if I was the leader of Earth.
True.
Nothing out there. Don't go out there.
Don't worry about it.
Stay inside.
That's nothing. Don't look at that.
Yeah.
But so I'll just share that today. I was typically watching stuff about another contactee. She was telling her story, and this was like the first time I think she recalls being on the ship. She got to drive it. That was pretty cool. But they were going to Saturn, and I was like, because I was thinking about this book. I'm like, oh, how is she gonna describe the rings? Because she's like, oh, the rings. I'm like, my ears perked up. Like, all right,
your ears went like this.
Yeah, we're Goblin, Kentucky Goblin mode, and then I was like, and then she said just the most normal stuff. She's like, yeah, some of the rings are more like ice, some are like kind of small dust, some of it's rock, some of it are huge like boulders. It's all just varied, and I'm like. So you had an experience, but to you, Saturn the rings were completely within the realm of like what we think they were. And this would have been also, I think, when she's got to be in her like 60s, I think 60s. So this probably would have been maybe around the same ish. How old? What's 60 years ago? Quick, go.
60.
So this might have
64.
been. So this would have been like in the 70s then, I think, because she said she was like 14 or 15 or something. Okay. If she's like exactly 60. Anyway, just saying 64. Like similar time ish experience of going to Saturn, two wildly different. Just interesting.
And Lanulos is in the solar system.
I actually was going to ask you because I do not remember.
Because I just remember like Saturn and like other things like that. So I don't know if they were referencing
Venus
like the vicinity of Saturn.
I don't know.
They got there quick, 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was pretty quick. It took them that long to get to like the other city or whatever when they were on Lanulos, didn't it?
Yeah, like one time they came back, or like they went up to the mothership and came back down, and then he just like got bebopped around to like London, and then like South America, and
they like purposefully like flew really close to people, and like he's like they saw us, like they were looking at us, like, and
they stopped in front of that guy in London, like he was on his bike,
and
just like, all right, bye, good luck explaining that.
Yeah, you'll never explain this, loser.
What do you remember about the humanoid stuff that he was talking about?
The humanoid?
He brought up a couple different types of entities, but I don't remember. I know he just did a little blurb about the humanoids, and he had this story and this encounter that somebody had. Because I think he was interviewing people too at that time. But.
Yeah, he would like talk to people who had like similar, because other people like had met Indrid or Carl or But about the humanoids, all I remember is because he had an encounter, right? He was with him one time because I think he was talking to some guy who had been
a local. I think
it was like a pink UFO or something. I don't know why I thought of that. I think that was what it was. But yeah, like a local or whatever. And he was like, oh, I got my buddies, my Lanuliers, and I'll ask him about or whatever. And because they ended up going with this guy, and then the humanoids came, and then Indrid and Carl and whatever, maybe Hassan or Demo was with him too. But yeah, they basically like waited and like until like the humanoids got off their ship, and then they're like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And he goes and explains that he basically tells the humanoids off, and he's like, "Yeah, they won't be back here. They're not coming back." And he explains that like the humanoids, what is it? They don't get that it's like stealing from people because they just think if you like have it, like or something.
If they find it, it's theirs.
Yeah, you could just, I don't know, just take it. I don't know.
But yeah, so that's funny. He also talks about how all aliens that have spacefaring ability are part of the galactic whatever.
Oh yeah,
and they're all peaceful.
Yeah,
he says this is like you are not allowed to travel off world if you are not peaceful.
True. Yeah,
that's why we can't go anywhere. But he's describing how these guys will just drop down, trick you into like stealing your flashlight or whatever, your flashlight and your keys. I think it was
something like that.
Is that not nefarious activity?
It's not nefarious. No.
Okay.
I think that, well, you know what I mean? Like, I think nefarious is like something stronger term than took a guy's flashlight and keys. Is it weird?
It's dark out.
And is it like wrong for us? Yes. But to the humanoids, apparently not. Also, didn't he like describe their hair as kind of like feather-like, but not really? It was like, he said something about how like, there's a picture in the book too.
It's like really short cropped feathers or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I would like that.
Yeah, we'll try to remember to throw some of these pictures up as we talk about them.
Have you heard of humanoids before this? I mean, I think you have, but
I mean the word, but like described like a specific thing, I don't think so. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I've ever heard them described as like, oh, that's the humanoids. They're like a species or whatever. Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's an original. He's an original author. You know, he's peace-loving humans from other places, and then you got feather boys.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Feather guys with like squash heads.
Squash.
Kind of like squash. They're just like, they're more like oblong. I was just having fun. You know, it's fall. We got squash.
Squashware.
Yeah, you like squash.
You didn't talk about.
Sorry,
oh, man.
Hold on. I'm on squash.
You son of a bitch. He didn't talk about Grace, did he?
I don't think so.
Like he was talking. They were at their. Woody was at his place entertaining some guests. And I think he did this a couple times, or maybe he's at somebody else's place and this happened. But like there was ETs peeking through the window.
Yeah. Go on.
But they weren't injured.
No.
I don't think. So what were they?
I think he doesn't say this, and I think he would have. I was kind of like, as I was reading it, thinking like they're humanoids who were like sneaking back or doing something. But he doesn't say that.
Rattling windows.
But you think he would say that because like he knows what they look like. But yeah, like they're at that party or whatever, and then they see these like not just him, like other people at the party, like they see these like beings like kind of peeking in through windows and stuff, and so they like fuck with them. like what do they do? They start like dancing or doing like pantomiming stuff or something.
Yeah. The people inside started dancing.
Yeah.
Making a bunch of noise.
To like fuck with the aliens that are peeking in the window. That one was interesting.
I wouldn't be dancing.
I don't know what I'd do, but they didn't seem alarmed. And I was going to say too, that like, I should just look into this specifically more. I'll say that I'll never do it. Only you can't make me do it. That this is like that's not an uncommon thing. Like I've heard that a lot, and I've heard it like recently, which is why I thought about it again. I was like, I have just listened to some other thing, not this lady I was talking about, but a different one. And it's like, similar, like peeking in the window, or like another one was recently I saw was like a typical like gray experience, but like one of them was inside, like about to like take him or whatever, and the one was like peeking in the window, and like he had drew, and it just looked funny. I thought I sent it to you, but I must have forgotten.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, so it's like, why would you be peeking in through the window like that? And that's where like I start to we don't have to go on this tangent, but that's where I start to think about like, yeah, they're probably not extraterrestrials. Like if we're gonna assume that it's something and not just nothing, I'm like, why would extraterrestrials peek
First
through the
thought,
window?
E.T. Like yeah,
that's
or
weird.
a neighborhood kid.
Well, I mean, right? Like, why would it be? Yeah, why would they be peeking through your window? And like, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, like, or even like even the Kentucky Goblin story that like I think that first big one.
That's what I was thinking about too. Yeah,
yeah, like well, they were like harassing and like doing all sorts of stuff, but like yeah, it's like
they were mucking about on this guy's porch,
mucking about this guy's property. Yeah, I just don't understand, like, as an extraterrestrial, like that one wasn't. I think some people thought. People have many thoughts about all this stuff, right? I mean, just that there could be many explanations or whatever. But yeah, I don't think extraterrestrial would be one that would make a lot of sense. It just doesn't seem.
You just don't understand their thought process.
I mean, that's true. It could be, but also my thinking is like, so if you're the type of beings, like, for example, a lot of people are basically phased through their rooms or, well, oftentimes they go through windows still, which is also interesting. Like, why would they take you directly through the window? But some people like get lifted up through like their bed up through like the ceiling and stuff. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going with this is like, and some of those accounts too, they talk about like they're able to like see through it. Like not always. Sometimes it's like they just go through solid stuff all of a sudden, but sometimes they see through it. And it's like, yeah, so you got doxxed on the deep galactic web, and so they know your address and they're coming for you. And then
they got your brain number.
They got your brain number. They got your physical address from the dark galactic web, and they're already they already rocked up, you know?
Yeah.
And they can see through and know you're in there and can do stuff, but they're going to look through your window. I don't know. Maybe not extraterrestrials. Maybe not.
Maybe you got to get a good line of sight from the window, and then you can do all the other stuff.
I guess maybe if you just play it with me here. Yeah, so maybe like if you're in your ship, you have all this extra like tech and stuff. And so because a lot of these things like with Woody, it's like telepathy is a big part of it. You can do whatever. So you have some like what we would call like extrasensory perceptions, powers, you know. So maybe you do have some of that, and maybe if you're not in the ship, you do have to have more line of sight. That could actually make sense. I don't know. You might be onto something. Yeah, you got,
because I'm sure we have that kind of stuff now where you can sense things through walls. I'm pretty sure, like through with sound waves and other types.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we definitely do. Yeah,
waves,
LiDAR and
figure that stuff. Yeah,
yeah. And even just normal sound, like, you know.
When I was thinking about telepathy during this, I was wondering, or I had a thought. Because, like, there's always these abductee stories, similar ones that people tell. Like, you wake up on a ship and you see entities above you or whatever. I don't remember a lot of... Like, I know there's some stories about getting experimented on and other things, but I think there's quite a few where you just have some sort of visual experience. You get a look around or whatever, and then you kind of get back.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if bumped mic. You can project your thoughts. The aliens can. We know this. Could they imprint impressions or visual things into your mind?
Yeah.
Say you're asleep. You know, your waking mind is off. They have. All right. You got a surroundings, and then you're gonna boom put the visual in their head, and now they like open their eyes or whatever, they see the alien standing next to them. They got this room. All this stuff is just a mental exercise.
It's not literally
introduce
physical.
them to something.
Yeah.
and then you didn't have to take them
Yeah.
anywhere. Have you seen stuff about that, or?
Yeah. I don't think exactly in that way that you are describing it, which is interesting, but similar ideas of like, there's a really big, I'm sure, maybe you haven't, you've heard the term screen memory.
No.
Screen memory is like what I thought you were going to start saying, which is when people have experiences, or abductions, whatever, just broadly experiences with extraterrestrials, and then they have a different memory until at some later point they actually remember what happened, or have like reverse, or not reverse, hypnosis.
Hypnotize the hypnotist.
The tables have turned. But regression is what I wanted to say. Gotcha. Which we know is like iffy. Pretty iffy. But anyway, like that they have a memory, and that memory is like a screen memory. It's like a fake, false memory over what actually their actual memory. And that's to either, people have various ideas of like, so it doesn't scare the person because they don't want them to know for whatever reason, because something else was happening, like any number of reasons, but that they have, at least it's, so they have, that's an idea that's been around for a long time, like that they would have the ability to implant memories into your head basically that aren't like actually what happened. But yeah, what you're saying is more interesting, because it's a little more like metaphysical, which is fun, and I like that. And other people think that way about extraterrestrials and entities, or whatever you want to call them too. But that would make sense. I'll just say it. It would make sense that, I'll say it. That's why we're here. It would make sense that if there were entities, not necessarily extraterrestrials or extraterrestrials, I don't know, that if they're little John Keel action, that why, if their goal is to make contact and their goal is to like talk or do whatever, why wouldn't they do that if they have the ability to? Yeah, like instead of going like, oh, let's go on my ship and we're gonna go to Saturn, like what if we
let's
just
expose ourselves?
Yeah, to
incredibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just for like this one little midnight dance we're gonna have.
This one midnight little tussle. And there are also not as many, I don't think, but it wasn't in Cypher. I swear it was a book, but it couldn't have been these two. But it was they were talking about how like the extraterrestrials were like, we're not just going to fly around anywhere. It's dangerous. Why would we do that? Like, we're not just going to take a joyride. Like, and I thought that was really funny. I'm like, yeah, like.
That might have been in Lanulos.
Maybe it was, but it was just like, I don't think I'd heard that maybe I'd heard it. Who knows? But like, it came off as like a little novel to me. Like, oh yeah, maybe they don't just take joyrides for fun, because it's like, yeah, they can do it and they travel and stuff, but they
have an expedition team. Maybe that does, but
right. Yeah.
I had a note here in my inconsistencies little section. Quote, why haven't the space people made themselves known openly? And then I think he says, well, because if they did, the government wouldn't let them leave. And then he immediately says that the military's missiles and weapons would never be able to stop them. It's like, okay, if we're not a threat, then how does that track?
Oh, I think I read that differently. I read that as, because he also talked about, I think in the same section, I'm pretty sure he talked about they would be trapped because although if they used lethal force, we wouldn't be able to stop them, but they won't do it. So they could get killed because they wouldn't retaliate. Like, so they would be trapped in that way. Like, they have the physical ability to not be trapped, but they morally would not do that to us. So like,
if they found them on the ground, I could see that. But like, he was describing lasers, like deactivating bombs or things like that. So like, if they're in the ship, I think they're they're good.
True.
And they can accelerate like insane speeds. So
Right.
you wouldn't be able to get a tracking missile or something on them.
True. So yeah, maybe he was talking more if they got like caught off guard or something, or like
again,
left the ship
telepathy.
or whatever.
They got telepathy. They can sneak around. They know what you're thinking. You're going to think you're going to shoot me? I'm gone, dude.
I guess you'd have to react though.
Yeah.
I don't think they had like precognition. They'd have to still.
Maybe they're John Wick. Or not John Wick. Maybe they're, what's that Matrix one where he can use dodge?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Keanu Lanulos.
Keanu Neo Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can make sense. Cool. Yeah, it can make a lot of sense. Yeah, when you brought up that stuff about the his kind of government tilt, I kind of forgot all about that because, like, I kind of forgot he talked about that throughout the book and not just at the end, basically.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
He's really hammered on the Air Force.
Yeah,
which I guess makes sense. It's like flying craft and stuff.
True,
but he only talks about the Air Force and like government in the U.S.
Yeah,
and not really like worldwide. Like,
yeah,
every country everywhere is keeping the lid on this.
Maybe he's just his head's in U.S. You know,
could be. It's in Idaho.
It's in Idaho. It's in Ohio. It's in Kentucky. He's driving around selling stereo equipment. Okay, he'd make bets with his boss about how he'd know this other guy who he was in telepathy with would like be.
Yeah, he's got a side hustle, make $5-10. You don't want to take too much, you know.
Yeah, and I liked how he talked about how like, oh yeah, you can learn how to do telepathy. Like he also kind of made it sound like anyone can do it. It's kind of hard. There's a lot of practice, but anyone can do it. I'm like, yeah, I bet it would be hard if you could learn how. Even if you have some people helping you out.
You need a Lanulesian to unlock that brain book.
I mean, it'd probably help to get like a taste first, you know? Get a free sample of like what it's like, and then you can be like, okay, I kind of remember what that sample, that butterscotch ice cream tasted like.
Yeah.
Pistachio. Yum,
you put that thought in my head. Now I'm tasting it.
Oh, I almost forgot. I did try that. I tried really hard to send you a thought, like after reading that part. So now I don't remember. I don't know if I wrote it down.
Because what if I have it in my notes here? Michael sent me.
I mean, if you had that note, I'd tell you if that was what I sent. Oh, I don't actually know if I wrote it down because it was like I just read it and I was like going to go to bed and I was like, all right, I'm going to like really focus on Tyler and I'm going to, it was something really specific that I was like, he would not think this on his own accord. Like it would not happen. And it was like 2 phrases. It was like, it was either one word or like 2 words like put together. And I was like, you would not think of this on his own because it doesn't make any sense. So that's how I'll know if he mentions something about this, I'll be like, oh, actually
at 4 a.m.
That was
pistachio.
Yeah.
We should try that. We should try that more.
I mean, why not? Butter linoleum. It was something like that, right? Like you're not sitting there thinking
how impractical that linoleum would be.
Think about Janitor from Scrubs specifically, and think about him buttering up the floors. He'd do it.
He would.
He's crazy. He made jum.
That's true. He'd probably have like the perfect foot spots for himself, so you wouldn't slip in it. Yeah.
Oh, he's so sneaky. Thinking about a show I haven't watched in like over 10 years.
Just now.
Yeah, Scrubs. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, I thought about that like a few weeks ago.
Wow.
I don't think I could watch that now, but it was fun at the time.
It was fun at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Any other thoughts on Lanulasia?
I think on Landless, that's
Landlocked.
I think we covered all the stuff I had written down that I wanted to at least kind of bring up. I guess the only real quick, just because I don't think it's it's just a question for you because I don't remember. So they were at that party, and Della, like the host or whoever, said she talked to Orthon from Venus. And I'm like, is that supposed to be the same Orthon from Secret Cipher? I was assume.
And I don't remember what Orthon was. Is that originally from Secret Cipher?
Well, it's
because I don't know. I don't remember that.
When did that come out? I guess originally, like as in like we would have read it first, but if this came out, I don't know which came out first. I guess, yeah.
Maybe it was a little synchronicity.
Maybe it was just interesting. I'm like, yeah, and I wrote down like Orthon from Venus that Della had talked to, and I'm like, I don't think he mentioned in Secret Cipher like what Orthon is from.
I don't think he elaborated.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was wondering if you had gotten more like out of it than that.
Orthon, if you're out there, get in touch.
Hit us up. What was his number? 68 or something?
68.
Yeah, Orthon. Come
Jesus.
on. Come on.
Come on. Come here.
Yeah, I think that's all I have. I will say, anyone watching, if you have a book request, maybe not a request, a suggestion. I don't want to make this a thing where we have to read it. But if you have any suggestions, preferably probably on the shorter side. I don't want to have to read like a 300-page book, against my will, being held at gunpoint by you, the viewer. But if you have any interesting things like this or little known books, because I mean, to us, these are pretty not well known. This is not something I would have ever picked up or thought to read if we hadn't. I guess just watched Hellier and they mentioned it, and then like, oh yeah, okay, let's read these. Quick
and
little
these
breezy
are just
pagers,
the starters. Like we'll read anything. Philosophy, religion.
Oh, very true.
Paranormal, occult, anything. That's what we're into. So send us.
Yeah, we have talked mostly just about this sort of stuff, but yeah, anything like that. Philosophy stuff's probably going to take longer, but again, if we, maybe we get a little book club going, something like that, if we get people interested and we can kind of take things some books at a slower pace, like stuff that takes a bit more brain power to try to sit and stew on. Quick ones will be fun. So let us know. All the information will be down below. Probably. That's a lie. I don't know,
be.
Man.
I don't think it will be.
Whatever.
Yeah, we don't know how to edit that well quite yet.
You'll find out. It's fine. Yeah. Do you have? I'll ask this quick. Do you have any books in mind that you have that you want to read, or
Me?
nothing? Just anything.
We got a Halloween coming up.
Oh yeah, Halloween.
I won't say the exact date, but it's October.
Halloween.
It's October. Halloween.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking H.P. Lovecraft.
That's short. Solid pick.
Those are spooky.
Yeah.
I do really like he doesn't have a philosophy. Maybe he does. You'd probably call it that. Just from his ideas, like the cosmicism.
Yeah.
We are dust in the wind in the grand cosmic scale, and nobody cares about us.
Yeah.
I do like thinking about that sometimes, and I don't like thinking about that sometimes. So
it just depends on the mood,
Yeah. When I'm feeling moody, it sounds cool.
Sounds pretty
fun.
When
I'm feeling sad, not so much.
I don't want to think about that right now.
I'm nothing.
I'm down. I think that'd be cool to read one or two little. Depending on how long. They are. But
I know you've read the first. Is it Call of Cthulhu? I know you've read it before, but would you read it again?
Yeah, and I think I didn't read. I think all the Lovecraft stuff I've consumed has been through audio, which just not that that's a big difference, but just mean I think I listened to it.
We're reading it, everybody. We're reading that one, and then maybe we'll pick another little short one. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then we'll get weird on Halloween.
Yeah.
Pivot. You want to read a little article I found?
Oh, I'd love to read a little article you found.
Another entry from thetruthisreal.org.
Oh, okay.
You should have it. It's about one of my favorites, JFK.
What are your favorites? I didn't know that.
Open.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you don't know
what?
about me, one of my favorite things is just the guy. Okay, I got it here. All right. All right, on thetruthisreal.org, this article is called JFK Killed by Many by B.T. Matherius. Same author as last time.
He's on a tear.
So what was that?
He's on a tear.
A tear. I don't know if I should mention this. This might be in poor taste, but this article was published on September 11th.
Call back.
I guess. Okay. Let's begin. Let me get my reading. Let me get my reading voice.
That's soothing.
All right. It's time we put this issue to rest. The promised savior of the 1960s, John Flander Kennedy, was taken from us this day in history. That's not his real middle name, right?
Flanders.
Flanders? I didn't know that.
Which sounds made up. I wonder if that's why they chose Flanders for that guy in Simpsons.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so
hell of a cool name.
It sounds like it's not the next sentence, but I promise you it is. World on brink of wars in Asia. Red curtain crashing down on the beaches of Vietnam. War Council blunderers beckoned boldly at our man of America like no one before. They barked mad like outraged war dogs, begging him to bash the Viet Cong as tensions grew in the Viet South.
A lot of alliteration there.
That's pretty good. JFK boldly fought back these dogs, hitting them with whips and shouting, "I will not risk American troops in this phony war." And phony war is capitalized.
Oh, of course.
From the back room. Some misspellings in this. This greatly upset the dogs in Washington. War must go on. How far they would go. No, it's not a comma. I got to read this like it's written. In late November, it's hard to read. In late November 22, 1963. New sentence. The day the dogs got their way. A day remembered by capital all. If you weren't physically there on the grassy knoll that day, you were there in mind, body, and soul, all capitalized. Not all caps, but like capital and capital.
Oh, yeah.
Shivers still run down the spines of Americans as they think of that awful day. John was taken to heaven in front of hundreds. This is tragedy. I didn't laugh. Put down like old Yeller in front of his wife, Jacqueline. Soon after he was put out of the dog's way, we went to war with Vietnam, just like they wanted. Men and boys sent to war to sate the bloodthirsty canine lords. Sacrifices to Moloch, some say. The bull demands life, they say. That's a good line. Also, I like how they just wrote he died, next. On to the next thing. Yep.
That's not why we're here.
Nope, next.
But it is.
Who really shot America's father? Lee Harvey Oswald? Perhaps not. Mightily convenient to find him with a rifle nearby. They say he acted alone. Others, more rightly, predict that he, in fact, acted with many others. That I did very good use of commas there. That was fun. Acted in such a way as to plot the president's early end grandly. Say, a grand conspiracy of blood to end early the president's life and soul. I didn't even mess that up.
That was good.
Violently in the land of Dallas. Next sentence. He was shot while riding in his convertible Lincoln Continental. Convenient to be exposed in such an obvious way. How could Lee possibly know that John would be exposed in such a way? Insider information, of course. No, insider information, of course. Acting alone would prove difficult to line up such a shot. Do you think he'd make such a shot with that rifle into a car that had a roof? Doubtful to see the least. Difficult to say the more.
Oh, he's got a way with words.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Oh, I can't say that. Sorry, McDonald's. Please don't assassinate me.
He had a G in it.
It's true. Okay. Experts, and in parentheses, yeah, right. Talk of a magic bullet. A bullet that bounces this way and that way to cause many wounds into the body of John. Only 2 shots fired, they say. 2 shots, many holes. Real experts know the truth. Not one shooter, many. One nearby citizen claims she heard 10, maybe 20 shots coming from everywhere. And then this is a quote. It was like being at a saloon in the Old West, she said. People all over the knoll hid, scared of all the gunfire. Smoke filled the air on this day and days after.
Wow.
Dozens of bullets found in the ground all over the grass and road. So, who did it? Who, parentheses one, or what, parentheses many, did this heinous crime? One thing is certain. And then it ends. One thing is certain, ... nothing.
Wow.
That.
Maybe there's a part 2 coming.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Next year's 9/11.
Yeah. It's the new, what do you call it? It's not an anniversary, ritual, a new little thing to do to celebrate the awful day for America. Ritual. Yeah. That was good. Thank you. So far I've liked these articles.
That's a good website.
Yeah.
I believe them.
Smoke for days.
Maybe it was a cold front or whatever. I don't know.
True, yeah. Maybe they got
foggy.
Yep.
Maybe it's just a foggy day.
Just looked like smoke,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard to tell with all the commotion going on.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of shots were fired.
Sounded like it.
There is a theory about the magic bullet because he had like a couple wounds, right?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
I've heard of the magic bullet. I honestly don't know what that is or about. For whatever reason, that never interested me that much.
That one? Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Many holes. I mean, first thought, shrapnel. I don't know. I guess if they would know.
All I know is America died that day.
Yeah, and then they died again on the anniversary when they made that post.
It's true.
We should get a count of how many times America's died. We got cat lies. We got 9 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, we on our 9th one yet? Maybe that was the 9th one. 9/11.
Oh, my. What are we now, then? Ghosts?
We're dead.
I'm a dead cat ghost?
Meow. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was dumb. All right. Let's see.
Editor, keep that in.
Oh, Andrew?
Editor?
Oh, Andrew. Okay.
Oh, you said Andrew, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I really heard it the second time. Yeah.
Thank you. I tried to make sure I enunciated it correctly.
Did you want to share anything else? Like, you got little notes? You got little tidbits you were thinking about? I know I had one.
Oh, no.
This is funny because in the last episode, in the little intro portion, I said I would get to a dream that I wanted to share. And then we got cut short because Descript had a 1 hour free trial and we didn't get through it fast enough. So then I didn't get to say what I wanted to say about my dream.
Sorry that we're using it now and bought the service.
Now we paid for it. So now we can just talk for as much as we want, but I'm not going to go share that dream anymore. You lucked out.
Well, if you were to want to stick it to Descript, you could go ahead and share it now. I'm sure they would just hate that they tried to silence you and then you're coming back with you. It makes me sick.
God, I could do it. Should I just not do it?
I think you should build this up like as much as possible and never say it ever.
Look, you guys can see how much there is to read there. I'm never going to share it.
Look, that's up to you. I'm not going to force you one way or the other. But
what I will share, because we've been reading Carl Jung and stuff, so we've been thinking about unconscious and dreams and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of dreams since I've been trying, but I'm not going to share any of them right now.
Okay.
I don't know. I can just summarize probably without reading it, but just thought I had kind of, its dreams are hard to remember. We've said this before. Yeah. We'll say it again. They're hard to remember. And then he talks about different parts of the psyche. You got the unconscious, you got the ego, which is like your waking mind, your personality, all this stuff.
Yeah.
It dominates. I don't remember. I feel like I've seen a chart of the different parts. Mm. And I feel like ego was large, or one of them is really large.
Like to show that it's like doing more on your daily life or whatever.
And I probably have this way wrong. Like, there's also like tip of the iceberg. I think I've seen maybe the ego's this tiny and there's a bunch underneath, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Fucking it up. So I was trying to think about like, why would it be so hard to remember a dream?
Yeah.
Well, because I do kind of think this way now that I've read some of his stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like it is happening within the subconscious.
Yeah.
Whether it's a bunch of symbols and stuff that the subconscious is directly trying to communicate, I don't know. Kind of cool to think about. Mm-hmm. But like, let me just see what this says. Since they exist within the subconscious, we just don't have a ton of access from our waking mind. So like, as you come out of sleep, your ego regains consciousness and sort of overlaps the subconscious process that was going on during the dream.
Yeah.
You remember who you are again and therefore override the memory of your experience while asleep. I think the thought is like, I've heard this before articulated, like you have to kind of remember who you are. It happens instantly.
Yeah.
When you wake up, but you have to kind of bring all that back into focus.
Yeah.
So I feel like whatever the whole being, whatever your psyche is, it's got free reign while you're asleep. So it's doing the things subconsciously, but then you forget to remember. Forget, to remember.
Yeah. I wonder too, how much of it is like, because there's your subconscious, which isn't so far removed from your conscious. If we're thinking about like an iceberg, probably like there's deeper things, unless you just think subconscious is the big broad term. You know what I mean? Like you could split it however number of ways. But I was going to say too, it may also just be that because the language of your subconscious is so different, it's like, not only would it be hard to like get that into your conscious, like your ego, like if you do, oftentimes you're like, I don't get it, or like it doesn't make sense. And again, not saying that everything is like a symbol stuff, because even what little I've read, because I've been slacking reading it a little bit, but what little I've read is like he's talking about how like, well, yeah, not every dream is something all full of symbols that are all something or whatever. It's like, no, you also just have your brain doing stuff too. It's processing things that aren't necessarily trying to like say anything to you necessarily. So there might not always be like some import or something that needs to be brought through.
Yeah, that's interesting way to put like we can't communicate with the same language with it.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, that makes sense because like, I don't know, just go through a day. You have all these different emotions that you're experiencing and largely can just push them aside, or you totally misunderstand what they are even.
Yeah.
And like something happens, you feel a certain way, you think a certain other way, and then they're in conflict, and then the thing spirals out of control or whatever. You can't control your emotional state, and you're not fixing it with your conscious state.
Yep.
So yeah, they're just out of sync.
Yeah.
In a way, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And a lot of, it seems like there are a lot of things that kind of talk about in different terms, but like kind of, doing practices to like unify those things, like to unify your, like even, I can't think of what exactly it was from, but the idea that like, or what am I trying to say? There's a common idea in some types of like, I don't want to say new age, because I feel like that has a bad connotation and might come off like I'm being like mean, or you know what I mean? But kind of an idea of where like, yeah, your ego's a bad boy. Don't listen to your ego. Don't do that. Your ego's a bad boy.
Yep.
And then there's those, I can't remember if it's Young or not, or him and a lot of others, but it's like your ego is like really important, and like you can't just get rid of it, and you shouldn't. And it's not something like to ignore. It's like something to deal with and like understand more and like be able to handle it, kind of almost.
It's
like
a tool.
Yeah, it's like it's important for you to have like, it's not something.
I think I was reading Eckhart Tolle or something. I went in blind. I really don't subscribe to anything in there, but I was trying some of his. He's like,
I know the name. I don't know much about it. Like,
I don't. I could look it up quick.
Yeah.
See which books, but he's talking a lot about meditation, and I think the one that I was reading was really about pushing off the ego, like you're describing. And I would try some of the stuff and it would bring a sort of peace or whatever, but like you can't sustain that, especially if you have like a job and people, like you can't just do that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that would be, and maybe him or other people would frame it like this, but in my head, my initial thought would be like, maybe that'd be a good exercise to like push it out of the way to try to get to other stuff, just as like to delve a little bit, but not to have that be like what you're trying to achieve is the pushing off. Like you're pushing it off just so you can bypass it to like do something else, but you're going to bring it back and
explore something and then come back.
That would make more sense if that's like what it would be. Yeah, not to be like, get rid of it. But I think I've heard stuff where it's kind of like they just talk about the ego like it's all bad.
Yeah. I don't have a ton of exposure to that, but it rang a bell when you were saying it. You got anything you want to share?
I'm going to share a little synchronicity for fun.
Hell yeah.
Or I'll share two, because there was two. There's one that was related to Lanulos. I want to hear someone say it.
It's just like nothing, like we're trying.
Yeah. Lanulos.
Lanulos.
Lanulos. Legolas. While reading it, so the night the night of this day, I had a dream. And in the dream, I dreamt of one of our mutual friends from when we were young, who I had not thought about in quite a while. Just like, I don't know, just don't think about everyone all the time. Mm-hmm. But he has a last name. I think I only know of one person, and it's him who's ever had that last name to me.
Yeah.
And I know other people who have that last name as their first name, not like personally, but anyway, to me, not very common. And then had that dream as stuff, and it doesn't really matter that much. But then it was just interesting later when I was reading Lanulos that like it was the part when they were at that party where those little guys were coming around, and I think it was Della, the one character's wife or character's husband. I think his name was Howard, and I was just like, oh, that's weird. Like, why was it the same name? That's funny. Again, just a fun little nothing, but it was fun. And then one other one was yesterday. We were taking a walk at work, and there was someone on the other side of the street went by in rollerblades, and it was funny because she had pink rollerblades, sick, with like white wheels. Then she was wearing pink pants and a white shirt. And I was like, you planned that. Hell yeah. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
It was just interesting. And then we walked on this little path, and then there was like a little, like, I think it was like an eraser, like a little, I think it was an eraser, but it was a roller skate eraser just on this path. And I was like, okay. Pink. It had many colors. Like the eraser was white, and then like the roller skate had like, I think blue and pink and like a greenish color, and like, yeah. I was just like, okay.
That's funny. What does it mean?
Oh, man, it has to be important.
You're on the right path. That's for true.
Ooh, gotta buy some rollerblades.
No, you're missing the point.
No. It means I have to buy them.
You have to buy more erasers. Okay.
Ah, darn it. You're right. Yeah.
Start using pencils and buy more erasers.
Yeah. Those are just two little things that were just little teeny synchronicities that were fun, but
fun. Yeah.
About you? Do you got anything besides your dream stuff?
About that dream I didn't have?
Little tidbits?
I don't think so. Oh. We're going to edit this out. No.
Well, we'll see, editor.
Andrew. While I was driving, for no particular reason, I was just at a red light and I was going to turn left. There's nothing around me, just like nothing. And I just thought of, and don't take it too far, human petting zoo. And I was just thinking, like, could you make an ethical human petting zoo?
Yes.
And why? Why would you? I mean, you just fill it with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Not a certain type. You're not going to discriminate against anybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's in there, not against their will. They're just getting paid, and you just pat them on the head.
Yeah, little pats.
Yeah. It could get dark, but that's not what we are. We're an ethical human petting zoo.
Yeah. Put it in the title so everyone knows it's true.
Yeah.
You could do that. I mean, a whole zoo, maybe like a small.
Oh, you just a little enclosure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They get all the hay they want and stuff. But.
Okay. Well, give them more than hay. Give them like cereal.
Okay.
Raw cereals, not like in a box, like for fun for breakfast. Like give them grains.
Like
yeah. No, you could do that.
Yeah. Okay. I will.
You could get people to do that. Yeah.
I'll do a Kickstarter.
It's just in every anime where there's a male protagonist who wants to be patted on the head by the person he has a crush on, and them to go yosh yosh.
Okay, I don't know that one. Yosh,
Yeah.
yosh.
I think it just means like they're there or something. It's just like
Okay.
whatever.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's in a media all over the place. You got eyes to see. You have
You're on the news, you're getting petted.
This is clearly something people just yearn for.
Yeah.
I mean, people to be probably too serious for your fun little thought. Yes, you could. People do crave the touch of other humans. And I don't even, again, I don't mean that in like a depraved way. Just like, yeah, they want, people like hugs. People like, having a pat on the head. Feels good,
Make a new website called Only Pats.
Only
And that's just all it is. Just a little pat on the head.
or maybe we get humanpettingzoo.com.
Quick, search it.
I'll click the button. I'll look at it.
We had to get this on lock before we release this. I bet it's taken.
I spell it right. It's available.
2 T's? Really?
Yep.
Buy it. No, don't buy it.
I'm not going to buy that one. It's just good to know we can. It's just good to know we can.
It's nice to have options.
It's good to have options. Can you get a .zoo? I feel like that'd be one they would add. Human.zoo.
Human petting
Nah, there's no .zoo yet. They have some fun TLDs though. Oh, someday. Yeah, well, sorry folks, can't get. Well, we can actually. I lied. We're not going to, but yeah.
That's for you, the listener. First one to buy it, let us know.
Yeah, if you feel so inclined, if you feel moved by the spirit to buy. Look, if you feel moved by the spirit to buy humanpettingzoo.com, well, but you gotta do it.
You got to do it, and you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What do you say? We get the hell out of here?
I'd say we get the HE double fuck out of here.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Put your hockey sticks away, buddy.
Ooh, sorry about that. I got a little R-rated at the end. My bad.
M.
Well, that's it for us this week. Be sure to check us out next time. If you want, in the meantime, I make no promises on this, but we are on Twitter. We're on Blue Sky. You can find us at Patreon. Pretty much everything is either /Polynoia or /Polynoia Podcast. So YouTube be the main one for now. And we'll hopefully get our website up soon, polynoiapodcast.com. Other than that, just thank you for listening. Thank you for glistening.
Cookie time.
Cookie time.